Hello there. I am so happy and so excited to be here today. This is so much fun. Throughout the last couple of weeks as I've been talking about coming here, people have been asking me if I was nervous. So how about you? Have you been nervous? For me, it's like, nervous? Why would I be nervous? This is my favorite thing in the whole wide world to do. To talk to people, to make new friends, to meet new people. This is what I was born to do. When I was 2 years old, I was going next door and talking to my neighbor and having coffee and tea with her. As my mother says, at 4 years old, I was a life coach. I was coaching this woman whose son was in Vietnam. And at 4 years old, I was hearing stories about him and what he was like and when he was going to come home. And I was hearing the songs that he would play on the guitar. So throughout life, we've all had limiting events that have occurred. We've all had feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. And without people asking me if I was nervous, I probably wouldn't have been nervous. But because people asked me, I started thinking, should I be nervous? Is there something wrong with me that I'm not nervous? That's what we do. People say things to us innocently, and we begin to question who we are and what we're all about. I call those events, incidents, and accidents. For me, the event that occurred was I was next door talking to my neighbor, and I was very excited to be there with her, and her son came home. He came home from Vietnam, and he played a song for me. And when he played that song for me, I was so excited, I went running down the street to tell my best friend, and she was playing with another girl. And she said, "You talk too much." When she said, "You talk too much," I remembered, that my family is always calling me Chatty Cathy. Remember that doll, Chatty Cathy? I had a doll, Chatty Cathy. My name is actually Cathy. My family said the doll was named after me. You talk too much. So when she said, "You talk too much," which was just a harmful comment, it created in me a limiting belief. Now, with that limiting belief, I have been incredibly resourceful. I went through life trying to learn how to quiet my talkativeness. I would hold my breath. So I had speech therapy, so I could learn how to talk. I also became a speech and debate participant in high school, so I could learn how to talk. I then joined the mime team so I could learn how to be quiet. And then I went into church and I studied how to have a quiet, soft-spoken spirit. And then I learned counseling, I learned communication skills, I learned listening skills. I went all the way up to mentor counseling, and then I became a life coach, a massage therapist, because you don't speak as a massage therapist, you're totally quiet. A life coach, it's not about anything I have to say, it's about what everyone else has to say. And then core alignment came into my life. And all of those limiting beliefs that I had converted into resourcefulness showed up. And I recognized how motivating they had been for me. How about you? When I talk about limiting beliefs, recognizing how those limiting beliefs are also motivating beliefs, I recognized how the hurtful events, such as Chatty Cathy at home, that now my family loves the fact that I get paid to talk, or the harmful incidents that occur, such as you talk too much. And we run around and we gather evidence that supports that belief. And then there are what I call hazardous accidents. So the hazardous accident that I talk about is the day that my neighbor's son came home from Vietnam, and he sang me a song. Now, I had been talking to this woman for 2 years. So there had been a really big buildup to this day. And when he sang to me, I felt like I was the greatest person in the world. Like this was truly who I was meant to be. I was meant to be the woman, or the girl that supported this woman while her son was gone. She was so happy. He was so happy. I was so happy. And I went running down to tell my best friend, and there was another little girl there. And she said, "Shut up. You talk too much." And I was like, "Wait a second, you don't know. She was really happy and he was really happy and he sang me this song." He didn't sing you a song, he just sang a song, and he was singing a song to his mom. And then we got in a fight, and she grabbed my hair and she pulled my hair. She pulled a big chunk of my hair out and she said, "Nobody likes you." That is what I call a hazardous accident. I looked at my life and I looked at what everybody had said up till then about me being chatty Cathy and I talk too much and shut up and no one likes you. And I have gone through life incident and then see the accident and see it from an outsider's perspective. Here's one 4-year-old who's innocent and vulnerable, and another 4-year-old who's innocent and vulnerable. She was playing with her best friend. They were having a great time. Then all of a sudden I come running up and I took all of her attention away from her. When she said, "Shut up, you talk too much, no one likes you," she did not recognize that that would actually shift my entire being and change my life. What I used as resourcefulness that had limited me actually truly was motivating me. When I let go of "no one likes me," which is really ridiculous. And whenever I would say, "Oh, I feel like no one likes me," my husband would laugh at me, my family would laugh at me, people at work would laugh at me. It's like, how could nobody like you? You're there for everyone, you're saving lives, you're a top salesperson, you are a great mother, a great friend, but inside, at my core belief, I believed what that little girl had said, and I gathered evidence that supported that belief, and that's what we do. When we could take the outsider perspective, coach position, when we can look at our life from that safe place, we can find what's really going on, and we can recognize what the hurtful events were, what the harmful incidents were, and what the hazardous accidents were. We can recognize what our limiting belief is and find our motivating belief. And we can be realigned at our core and be happy to talk. With that hazardous accident influencing most of what I have done. I learned to not talk, and because I learned to not talk, I learned how to really, really listen. Because I took all of these communication courses to learn how to listen, I was one of the most successful salespersons on the floor. I had an 80% closing ratio on a regular basis. Because I took all these communication courses, I was an excellent counselor. And I led mentoring groups. And I was on the phone for suicide hotlines. And I saved people's lives. Because I was so driven to not talk, I became a massage therapist, a sports and injury specialist, relieving people of chronic conditions that they had suffered with their entire life. And then I was introduced to life coaching so that I could really learn how to listen. And it would not be about me at all. Underneath all of that, at my core, was this incredibly resourceful, brilliant, bright, innocent, vulnerable 2-year-old and 4-year-old that loved to talk. On top of that was the evidence I gathered that nobody liked me. From that limiting belief, I became incredibly resourceful. When I found core alignment and realigned with what was true, from taking this coach position that allowed me to look at my life from an outsider's perspective and not feel the feelings, then I was able to go back in time and see the event. And then see